This week, as you go forth from the message and the talk about faith, this morning as I was preparing for church, this is actually before service at the church, God laid upon me a heart, a message that I think goes along with what you were listening to and what we were talking about when it came to Matthew 10. And I want to encourage you, first of all, to take time this week to read two passages. Read Matthew 10. Look at the call that Jesus puts upon the people. And then look at Hebrews chapter 11, which talks about the people of faith. I read you the passage during the message, but what I would have you do is consider the different people, the different callings, the different ways God expressed his desire in the lives of these people. From Abraham, who was simply a shepherd, to others, all the way up to David and the prophets and the priests. We are all called. It's one of those messages that I want so desperately for you as a church to understand. Every one of us is called. Every one of us is set to make a difference in the world. If we're a follower of Jesus, we have been called to do something in the world. But that doesn't always mean the same thing. Matter of fact, it absolutely doesn't mean the same thing. Some may be called to go to the ministry. Others may be called to do the ministry right where they're at. When I was a young pastor, when I was pastoring the church over in Wheatfield, I remember one morning, I had grandiose dreams of everybody going out and finding ways to bring people to the church. And I remember one day meeting a middle-aged woman who was outside the church planting flowers. And it suddenly occurred to me that that was as much a ministry for God as anything else. And so I don't know how God has called you. Whether you're young, whether you're older, whether you think you have all kinds of gifts, or whether you really doubt yourselves. The reality is God has called you to do something. And I've attached a link to a song called Do Everything. In reality, our calling is to do what we do for the glory of God. And if we do that, we will be fulfilling the calling that Jesus has put in our lives, because people will begin to see. Step out in faith. Absolutely. But step out in faith and do the thing that God has called you to do. Whatever that thing might be. However you might think that God is saying, do this. Take the step of faith and do it. And see how God blesses you in this. So this week, read those two passages. Listen to the song. And then I want you to open your eyes to see how what you're already doing might serve the purposes of God. And then as Curtis Chapman says, do everything for the glory of God. See how that changes those daily things that you do. So I want to avoid you being fearful that when I talk about God calling and you see those people going out from village to village, that you're excluded from it. You are not. God can and will use you if you will take the step of faith. Trust him, believe him, let him speak through you, through your words and through your lives. May God bless you this week.